there's a lot of backtracking, but a lot of trying to figure out where we're at in terms of Batman's mental
Backtracking?
state. Yeah.
Yeah!
Nerd On.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. And we
what?
are wearing hockey pads today.
We are?
We are?
We are. To hide
Sort
my
of.
raging nerd on, because today is the day we do some comic books, baby!
Finally, after much anticipation.
Our first comic book episode. That's very strange. This is going to be like, this is,
Hush,
wow,
hush,
we're
hush,
almost,
hush. We're going to be talking about it soon.
we're almost 30 episodes in.
Oh, shit.
We finally did a comic book.
Yay!
Yay.
did
We're
it.
officially nerds now.
We're
Yeah.
officially nerds.
Yeah.
Tom's
Can we have
so
our nerd
happy.
cards back?
You know what this means, Tom? That means we got to do a thing episode soon.
Oh, I was going to say, that means I'm gone.
yeah.
I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're out.
But if you haven't already seen the thumbnail and it hasn't already been downloaded to your podcast,
You just
app-
blindly download our things.
Yes.
Nerd on roulette.
I was going to say podcast roulette.
Yes. We are covering something that was released in December of 2002. So this is really
Oh, wow.
old.
I thought it was...
This is
Oh,
really
yeah, right.
old. We are
My God,
covering...
it's really old.
It's ancient.
Oh my God.
Yeah, people who were born in 2002 are now
That's
16 years old.
Did they have color ink back then?
They did.
Is this one of them talkies?
It is. We're covering Batman Hush.
Ooh.
The two-part volumes of the first appearance of the character Hush.
Uh-huh.
So before we got started, I just want to give you guys a little bit of the know-how, the brief history of
Batman.
Batman. He is a Bruce Wayne
The
who,
brief history of the world. This might take me a little while, but
in July of 1939, Detective Comics issue. No, I don't know all that
With
shit.
those purple gloves.
Purple gloves.
Purple-ass gloves.
Case of the crime, chemical syndicate. No. So this was one of the first big Jim Lee storylines that was created. And the thing was that he didn't technically like write the whole thing. He
For those at home who don't know who Jim Lee is.
Jim Lee is now like the big head honcho of all DC Creative Comics. He helped co-create DC Universe Online. He's noted as probably the best writer or artist for DC right now. And the thing is, at first when you like applied to go work for DC, they said, "Hey, learn how to draw better hands and then come back to us."
Draw better hands.
Draw better hands.
Oh my God.
And he got notably most famous for the fact that he gave Batman tracks on his boots. Before they used to be just a little like
slip-on boots.
like a little flats.
little
no
Peter,
traction.
yeah, little flats.
Peter Pan flats.
And now they have like the little boot like looking squares on the bottom
And
of
they're
it.
very evident in Hush.
Yes, which is awesome and I love. And I think if you haven't seen a Jim Lee like Batman, then you live under a rock. But you know what? You are welcome here too because you listen to us.
Yep.
So
This is how you can learn to go check them out.
Tom, they are not welcome here just because they listen to us. They're welcome no matter what.
but also they're listening to us. They probably are a nerd
That's true.
and they're some level of nerd.
That's true.
If they don't listen to us, they're probably maybe not a nerd or not a nerd yet.
True.
But back to the topic.
Semantics.
Written by
Oh,
Jeph.
Hush.
Written by Jeph Loeb, penciler with Jim Lee, also inker with Scott Williams, and colorist with Alex Sinclair. These are the names that you'd see on those trade paperbacks that we all love to read.
For those of you who don't trade paperbacks to comic.
Yes, trade paperbacks are the comics. But yeah, so talking about this story specifically, we got to kind of orient ourselves where we are in the Batman timeline.
This is, disclaimer, this is not
Part
continuity-wise part of the...
Rebirth, New 52, whatever continuity you're on, this is technically
It's a standalone.
It's completely separate.
Now it
Separate
is.
thing.
Think of it like Dark Knight Returns. It's a great story that we love, but it's not part of any of the continuities.
Yeah.
But it took place during it.
It's a run.
It's a run. Exactly.
Would you say?
But it used to be a part of continuity, correct?
It used to be, yeah.
And then they were like, fuck it, let's do
Yeah,
something
because
else.
it was the first intro. It was like Batman 600 and 609, 619.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And it was the first appearance of Hush, which is one of the newer villains, which a lot of people really love. So in the timeline at this point, Batman has his own rogues gallery, right? He has been introduced to Poison Ivy. Him and Superman and the Justice League have a relationship. Jason Todd, the second Robin, has been murdered already
By Joker.
and Barbara Gordon is not. Has been.
She's Oracle.
Put in a wheelchair and is now the Oracle.
Also by Joker.
Yes. Tim Drake is now the third Robin. He's there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Selena Kyle and him have a romantic, connection.
On again, off again.
But not really.
She's been gone for a while.
Not really. And I'm dating the episode. At this point, Batman has proposed to Catwoman. So it completely shows a little bit of the budding.
Not in this comic, but in the continuity wise.
in
this point.
Rebirth.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of backtracking, but a lot of trying to figure out where we're at in terms of Batman's mental
Backtracking?
state. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, hush.
Yes. So
We need to have like an award for like the best like joke,
End of the episode.
and then when somebody has
give
a
it to
really
me?
great pun,
I like that.
the
just
punny,
give it to them.
we'll give it the punny.
the Punny Awards.
Yeah.
Well, we got to come up with a really good pun for the award.
At this point, Nightwing is a thing. So Dick has now become Nightwing in Bloodhaven. I don't think I'm missing anything else that are super big.
No.
Two-Face. Two-Face is now
Has been surgically.
repaired. So I mean that's part of the storyline, but
Yeah, we
Two-Face
don't
has
know that
become a
going
thing.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's
Later
out
on
of the
comes on.
picture. But the
Yeah.
other rogue
Should
gallery.
we have a spoiler alert on this one?
No, this
No,
is 2002.
16 years, man.
When something is over a year old.
No, yeah. That's your fault. But also,
Well,
I'll say,
especially
though-
if it's over 15.
What I will say though is, if you're at all interested in Batman comics, definitely go out and pick it up.
yes.
Yeah.
Read it. It's a great.
How did you get your copy, Mr. Ollie?
Tom gave it to me.
For Crima.
How'd I get my
Christmas.
copy?
I let you borrow mine.
Yeah.
I let you borrow my 2 signed Jim Lee
Oh, man.
trade paperbacks.
I
No.
was so mad at him too because I was like, I'll just go pick it up at the comic book store. He's like, no, I'll just let you I'll lend you mine. And I was like, oh, dope. So we go to his house and he pulls out these autographed copies. And I was like, I don't want to touch these, man. You just gave me so much responsibility. But I loved it. And I read both of them in one night.
So let's go around the horn, I guess, and just do some initial reactions, I guess. Like,
Cool.
do we love it? Do we not? Do we hate it? What do you guys think?
All in favor of loving it, say aye.
I
Josh.
I'm just kidding.
I was watching. I was like,
Preface, because Tom said this is going to be one of those episodes that there aren't a lot of qualms. And he said, if you have qualms, you
die.
will die.
That's it. No more chance. You die. That's it.
So
I'll start us off.
Yeah.
Please.
do it.
Talk to me.
So
Talk nerdy to me, baby.
I loved this. I loved it.
Oh, it's
Just loved it. It is everything I wanted, and maybe it's just because it's like this point in my life. But this is what I want out of Batman, of any consumption of Batman. I don't want any more origin stories. I don't want any more like pre-Robin stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's all we're getting now. Or like, I want post. I want this timeline. I even want like after Drake.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I'm interested
Give me
in.
Damian Wayne.
Yeah, it was a while back. We were watching.
Tim becomes
Tim Drake becomes Red Robin.
Yeah,
And he leads the Titans.
exactly. Yeah, we were watching. My roommate and I, no longer roommate, but at the time, like a couple weeks ago before I just moved, we were watching through all the sort of Damian Wayne like movies,
Animated stuff, Bad
Justice
Blood,
League versus
Son of
Teen
Batman. Yeah.
Titan, all that stuff, and. I was like, this would be I would love to see like a CW show, like maybe have like a Nightwing CW show.
Yeah.
And then like have that for a while and then that lead in. I know you don't like the CW shows.
Oh, no. I was going to add to it. I was like, I would actually watch that. Yeah.
Okay.
I really like Nightwing
But
a
then
lot.
have that like start with Nightwing, lead into a post Robin era for Batman, have like a Batman show.
Yeah.
Like I would love that.
So, I mean, I just want to add a little bit on top of it. You
Yeah.
probably really like some of the new 52 stuff, which is not part of the new continuity. But what it does is that Batman's out of the picture for a little bit. And Robin is Damian Wayne, who's like son of Talia al Ghul, who's super assassiny and wants to kill people. And you have Dick Grayson being Batman. And Dick Grayson's known to being like the jokester, being very lighthearted and believing in people. And so you have him being Batman and you have the serious Robin, which is a complete flip of what normal Robin and Batman
Yeah.
are. So a lot of people really, really loved that dynamic and love seeing Damian and love seeing like some kind of goofy sidekick partner with Robin. Really.
Yeah. But getting back to Hush, I love the way that it was kind of like, it's not burdened with having to do any of that stuff. The world's already set up. It's good to go. It has a chance to really dig deep. in like explore the character of Batman, explore like this facet of him now that he's like, you know, has to find love, and what does he do with that? You know, what does he do when that stuff comes into question or gets threatened by outside forces, et cetera, et cetera. So I really enjoyed those, like kind of diving in deeper into the character.
But also brings in like good past origin stuff that's not technically part of Martha and Thomas Wayne dying.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And that's, I think, what initially got me hooked in the beginning. Like, I mean, it's a great story all around, but seeing Bruce as a kid outside the context of Crime Alley.
Outside seeing parents getting shot. And
Yeah, it was really
Cool.
intriguing and really cool to see that, like, he had a friend and he was like he was a kid.
Yeah.
He was a kid. He was a child who had friends, liked to play war, stuff like that. And I really loved the way the art was done for the flashbacks too.
Oh,
like that scene where they go to Metropolis and they see Green Lantern.
Is it Green Lantern or Green Guardsman?
It was great.
I think it was Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
it's Green Lantern.
So it's
yeah.
the white-haired one. Okay.
Yeah, and he's got the reddish suit, like the OG Green
man.
Lantern. And kind of seeing that Bruce Wayne had a taste of what superheroes represent and what their symbols mean to people, and kind of seeing how that affected him once he became Batman, and he's like, the symbols, everything. I was so drawn in by all that.
Yeah. It was great because it goes back to, I really love what you say, Ollie, where it's like, it feels like it's a world lived in.
Yeah.
And it's like heroes have existed before Batman and Superman. It's just that they're known as the world's finest. So, Mr. Josh, any initial?
I want to say one last thing about the art.
No, I'm just kidding.
Before Josh talks. Because there were some things in I think it's the second part, where they pay homage to a lot of
Homage?
homages to a lot of older, very popular comics. But it's like there's the image of Batman carrying Jason Todd, but it's not quite the exact drawing. It's like a recreation of like a memory of it.
Not the death of, you mean, right?
Yeah, where he's like holding him, and
he's
there's
crying. Yeah.
there's the redoing of Joker shooting Barbara. There's the redoing of Joker killing Jason Todd, and it's like.
But Jim Lee's beautiful drawn handwork in there.
Right. He captures the essence of the original, so you know exactly the frame and what panel they're talking about, but it's got his own taste on it. And I looked at that page for like a half hour. I was just like, this is beautiful.
You broke the spine of my trade
I
paperback.
did.
And was like,
And I signed over his name
Yeah.
with, I'm not wearing hockey pads.
And there it is.
Lock it in tight.
So Josh, what do you
12
think?
minutes, 30 seconds.
I'm getting earlier and earlier. I'm just going to start opening.
It's just going to be I loved it. Everybody at home playing the Nerd on Home game, you will know that I have not read a lot of comic books in my life in terms of the superhero franchises. I've read a lot of like the Vertigos.
it's plural is franchises.
Franchises.
French fries.
Yeah, French fries. I've read a lot of like, Walking Dead, Why the Last Man, Preacher, those kinds of comic
Actually,
books.
adult books.
Adult books, yeah. Because I am a grown man. No, I'm just
Grown
kidding.
ass man.
But I have read, I want to say that the only superhero comic book that I've ever read before this
My
was...
Little Pony.
Thank you. That's a superhero book. Come on. They're ponies. And
I colored in the lines.
They have powers.
Yeah.
They do. They do have powers.
Like Care Bears.
I think it was, it's when Batman's older.
Dark
Dark
Knight
Knight
Returns.
Dark Knight Returns. That was the only superhero.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Jinx, you mean soda.
That's my line.
So yeah, it was fun comic books are interesting to me because the runs are all different. It's very interesting. It's like, oh, this is their take on it, but I loved it. I just thought it was a lot of fun to just see, because again, I didn't know all of the nuances of backgrounds and who's died and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I knew that Bruce Wayne's parents died. I mean, come on, who doesn't?
Idiots.
People born in
Idiots.
2002, apparently.
But yeah,
Why were they in Crime Alley? It's in the name.
gosh.
Let me just take my 6-year-old kid down Crime Alley.
It used to be called Fun
Idiots.
Alley. They renamed it after.
So no, I really dug it. I mean, I loved the Superman Batman.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that for a minute, actually?
We
Now
will
that you brought
in
it up?
favorite parts.
Okay,
We'll
okay.
favorite
okay.
parts.
This is just
Okay.
initial reaction.
Gotcha.
I really enjoyed it. I love the artwork. I liked how gritty it was.
When did you read it?
I read it actually a few months ago.
Okay. For the first time?
For the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you had mentioned it so many fucking times on our show that I was like, I'm gonna check this out. So I did.
Good for
I
you.
don't mention it. I grab people by the shirt, lift them by the wall, and it's like, you need to fucking watch this motherfucking
You need to read Hush.
You want to get your mind fucking blown right now?
So yeah, I dug it. I got it on Comixology. Hashtag not
Sponsored
not
yet.
sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Yeah.
Shout out to Comixology.
But yeah, I read that, and that being me and my alter ego,
The royal we.
the royal we. I enjoyed it. I really, really loved it. I didn't have I'll just get my qualms out of the way. I didn't have any qualms.
There we go.
I really didn't. We discussed in several episodes back what makes something like
Perfect.
and if you can't change it, there's nothing I would change about it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't think there's. Maybe I'll find it when we start analyzing more.
oozing.
But right now, I don't think I have any qualms myself. But let's. Do you want a brief synopsis?
I want to go into what I got initial reactions.
Oh, okay.
First,
I thought
sir.
you did.
No, move on.
Excuse me,
I
sir.
think yours are pretty biased at this point.
Well, I want to talk a little bit
No, go
about
ahead.
like how I got into it, right?
Yeah,
so I
please.
mean, like
Yeah.
opposite of Josh, like comic books to me were like my parents didn't let me like really collect them. Like my first ever comic I think was Batman and Spider-Man meeting, and the Joker and Carnage were like working together, and it was one of these like
That's so strange.
like raised
Weird.
embossed like comics with that had
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
images
yeah.
were raised up, and so this had like the Tim Burton looking Batman, and like
I'm gonna
to
look
me-
it up right now.
To
I wanna see
me,
that.
animated like the Batman animated series was Batman to me, and then Val Kilmer, Thurketh, and
Do you like the Thurketh?
and I thought that was it. And that, to me, like that became the camp that was like what my childhood was. And reading Hush for the first time was my like that was to me the adult version, the adult look at this. So when people say like, "Oh, comic books are for kids" and stuff like that, for me, like comic books, like getting into it really was starting to become my adulthood. Like reading these darker storylines of like people dying, people becoming paraplegics and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
it became really intense stuff, and how like they had to overcome these like realistic human struggles and persevere, and like the superpowers are more of like another burden.
Well, that's something about Batman that I've always loved is like Batman. I mean, yes, it's gritty as shit. I mean, it is dark, and I mean, it's kind of a noir kind of thing, but he doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah.
He has to deal with life, but like if he's jumping off a building or something like that, it's really fucking scary. He doesn't have powers. He has some, he has gadgets.
He
and stuff.
cracks his head open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this one, he basically almost dies.
Yeah,
And
he gets a skull fracture.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, for me, like, with all, you know, you always do the fights, like, oh, how does Batman decide and fight and all this? To me, like, Superman in the status quo of us being the par, he's like way above par in terms of like how great and the things that he has to do. Like, he has to survive, and the trauma that he goes through is pretty much his power. The fact that he always overcomes everything and always finds a way without having to kill somebody. And the thing is, like, because he is human. He is the peak
What's
of
that
human.
line Batman has about him and Superman?
And it's my favorite fucking line. And we goes a little bit about our favorite parts of like, you know, deep, like Superman gets mind controlled by Poison Ivy and is attacking Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Catwoman. They're trying to escape. And Superman is coming in hard. He's flying in, he's punching, he's doing his ice breath, everything like that.
And his laser vision.
And his laser vision's everywhere. And the thing is,
He's fucking shit up.
and Batman has this
saying.
inner monologue, which is something that you'll never get in a movie. And that's the sad thing is that you'll never get this in a movie where he's having this inner monologue. He's like, he can kill me and if he wanted to end this really quickly. But the thing about Superman and Clark Kent, deep down inside, he's a good guy. And deep down, I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's when like Bruce Wayne, like Batman hits him with the kryptonite ring. And
like
it's
a fucking haymaker too. Like everything he has.
all his entire body weight's in. And it's like those little small snippets of that's where you learn where the character is. And it's something where film has to achieve that. It makes it crazy. And that's why the comic book, I love this. So, I mean, getting this comic book for the like first time I went to like, it was my Wednesday. I got the comic and one
You
year.
remember the day?
It was Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
Okay,
in my,
never mind. There's a
sophomore
reason
year
for that. Okay.
Was comic book Wednesday and
Okay.
going to San Francisco WonderCon. I didn't expect Jim Lee to be there, and then I saw him there. I was like, holy shit! I got these, you know, comics, and then I had him sign it, which was crazy to think. And I had to thank my friend Curtis who got me into it. All shout out to Curtis, who literally got me into like comic books and like gave me this gift and stuff like that. So, but
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility.
and good signatures and autographs. So brief synopsis of the
Yeah.
story for everyone that's at home. who could listen to this while you go pick it up and buy it on Amazon or buy it on Comixology. They're actually the same accounts.
Yes, they are. Makes it easy.
So it starts out with, like Corey was mentioning, a bit of a flashback. You know, you see Bruce Wayne and Thomas Elliot. I'm jumbling it up a little bit because it's been a while, and Corey had my copy for a long time.
I did.
But it kind of starts out, Batman is Batman. There's no origin around this stuff, but it talks about his relationship with Thomas Elliot, who was a child. You know, they had a childhood together. They were both rich and stuff like that, but they had different lives completely. Batman is trying to save this kid who's
been kidnapped
by Killer Croc. And this Killer Croc is dope. This Killer Croc doesn't look like what you got in Suicide Squad.
Fucking huge.
He's a monster. He's got a tail. He's just gigantic thing.
He's a croc.
But
I remember reading it going, I don't remember Killer Croc looking like this, but
he's giant.
Cool.
That's how I want Killer Croc to look. It reminds me of that movie where they had each different directors. There's that Killer Croc
Gotham
sequence
Knights,
where he was dope.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm kind of rooting for Croc.
The thing about Killer Croc is that he's mutating. He lived under the sewers. He lived in the sewers and stuff like that.
Sad story.
And yeah, he had the skin infection.
Is there a
thing.
good like origin story?
No.
Like, oh, that's how he became Killer Croc.
This is especially sad.
Killer Croc. I'm just saying.
I think that's a prerequisite. You have to have a tragic story for your origin.
Yeah.
But he's going after Killer Croc, and there's a ransom. He's like fighting Killer Croc, and he's trying to save this kid. And at the end of it all, Killer Croc is apprehended, and then Catwoman makes off with the money. Chases Catwoman off, and they have this little flirtation running thing, and then something cuts his line. He falls down. He cracks his head open. Even people try to get to his body, but they can't. Huntress comes and saves him.
Well, Oracle puts out a call to the Bat family.
Bat family.
So whoever's close to, he falls. Where does he fall?
He falls in Crime Alley.
Yeah. And everyone's encroaching on him with knives and muggers and stuff.
Which I love because you see the bit of the tech in the suit, right? You see the little panels open up with the air, and you see if someone touches them.
Electrocuted.
Yeah, they become electrocuted.
Which they kind of did in Dark Knight.
Yeah. And what happens with Huntress is kind of like known as like the femme fatale. She's someone that's like, I'm not going to play by your rules, but I'm still going to fight for the good guys, but I'm going to kill people.
Yeah.
So
her scene was actually kind of comical too.
Yeah.
Well written and comical.
So there's a bit of a tumultuous relationship between Batman and Huntress. Anyways, goes back.
It ends with that line where Oracle says he'll want to thank you in person, and she goes, "I won't hold my breath."
Yeah.
Oh, here's me holding my breath. I like that line.
Yeah.
Helena. And end up in the Batcave. Bruce has, can't communicate. His brain's cracked open. And shit.
Alfred's doing surgery on him.
So he taps out in Morse code.
Morse code, Thomas Elliot.
And he knows that Alfred will know it because Alfred served in the military.
And then plus Alfred, has raised Bruce, so he knows who he's talking about. Thomas Elliot.
Yeah.
And they have to make this cool this faux pas story of like a billionaire crashes his car or whatever crap. And then Thomas Elliot, does surgery on Bruce Wayne. He's out, he's safe. Help me, what else is going on right now?
About a
weeks later?
you see Catwoman brings the money from the ransom
Poison
to Poison Ivy, and she's under her spell. Poison Ivy says no man or woman can resist. So really she tricked her to give her the money. And then it kind of flashes forward. Bruce Wayne is back in the suit, even though Alfred's like, you probably need to rest, but I know you won't. No big deal. He's like, I need to. They stage a false escape for Croc because Batman wants to watch where he goes.
Yeah.
So he puts a tracker on Croc in Arkham, and there's he thinks he breaks out, but they let him go.
And then they follow Croc back to a place where Ivy was supposed to meet with Catwoman, and it kind of pins where Killer Croc is now going to take out
At this point, Catwoman is no longer under the spell, so we think.
Yes.
She's like aware that Poison Ivy used her, and she's trying to tell Croc, like, I don't have the money, she used me, and then Croc's like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking kill you anyway, because I needed that money. He wanted the money to
actually get medication.
Because he's evolving, he's
mutating.
Devolving, technically, more and more into a monster.
Yes.
Right.
And that's like, I think I love about Batman villains, that in all essence, they are kind of just like hurt people, and that they all are trying to find some kind of solace in their life.
Well, you said it best, too, that and it might have been on here as well. They're each part of Bruce.
They're all slices
part of Batman.
And Batman always tries to appeal to their humanity. And every time he doesn't save them, it's kind of like hurting him because it feels like he can't save himself.
Yeah. So with Croc, Batman shows up, saves Catwoman, and I think Croc, he shoots him off the building with a grappling. And then they decide to team up.
Catwoman and Batman decide to team up for the first time, and this is kind of a big premise of the Hush, is that Batman, things are kind of going in his life where he has a Bat family, like he's trying to create a dent in crime and everything like that, and what he's finding out, he has this vacuum of like having a significant other, someone that actually understands him, and Catwoman is someone that kind of fills that void.
Yeah, because he's been alone, you know. And is that the scene where they?
Now they're going to Metropolis.
Yeah.
At some point, they just go to Metropolis.
Bruce Wayne goes to Metropolis because he owns the Daily Planet.
Yes.
And he goes and visits Lois Lane, and anything they're trying to get if there's any reports of Ivy or anything like that in town, and they think they got one. And so suddenly he gets when he gets there in the airport, Thomas Elliott's there.
Yeah.
And doesn't Thomas Elliott stop by at one point too? And Alfred's like, he's busy.
Something like that.
Yeah, you trust
Thomas Elliott makes these little cameos, and these are important because it's kind of showing like who's this character Thomas Elliott. Before, we know Martha Wayne, we know Thomas, we know Bruce, we know Alfred, but who's the hell is Thomas Elliott?
And so they meet in the cab. They share a cab, and he says, "I don't care about anything that you're doing. I care if you're taking care of yourself."
Yes.
And so Bruce, of course, says, "Yeah, whatever." Meets with Lois, and then Catwoman pages him because she's seen Ivy.
Yeah, we see one of the flashbacks because now we're in Metropolis, and it talks about Thomas Elliott and Bruce Wayne like seeing
as kids
the Green Lantern
fighting the Frost guy,
something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it shows a little bit of a past that they shared. So it seems logical at this point for the reader, like, oh, Bruce Wayne has people in his back pockets to be like, oh, I have Lucius Fox for tech, I have Thomas Elliott to like help me with brain surgery.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
Clark pokes his head up. Clark.
Yeah.
Pokes his head up.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that I really liked just real quick because we're going here. I really liked the flashbacks because Bruce Wayne wasn't always like this sad guy.
Hard-boiled dude.
Yeah, he was a kid that played and did that kind of stuff. And then
I mean that's what I was saying earlier. Is it's nice to see him as a kid, not in the context of being shot in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Or
He
his
has humanity.
Yeah. Or I guess if you're going with the Flashpoint timeline, he was shot in the alleyway.
Yeah.
And then she's on a moving train. Batman swoops down in a dope panel where he's behind Catwoman on this moving train, and she's like, I tracked her here, but I need you to know. I forget what was the exact wording she said.
I don't know.
Something along the lines of like, I need you to trust me. I want to get to her first. She used me. No one violates me like that. And they had kissed before this because Bruce is silent, and he's like, we kissed. I don't really know how to be around you at this point. All that kind of stuff. So they had kissed that night after she was saved from Croc. Yeah. So he's kind of awkward around her.
There's a really iconic picture of them in the blue, and it's fucking beautiful.
He's awkward around her because he hasn't had this sort of relationship before.
Well, now he's letting someone get close, and he has someone actually to worry about. Like with all the other Robins, he never really had to worry about them because they were partners, and then Jason Todd was murdered.
That was his big failure.
Yeah,
is that
and
he let someone get close to him, and that was
and then Jason Todd was always a good soldier, and then Barbara got shot, and so it's like the people around him got hurt.
And Gordon's wife.
Yeah. And so, like, it's tough for him to, like, try to rationalize having anyone close to him. And lucky enough, Dick, Nightwing had left. He went to Bloodhaven.
And then, so they find Ivy, and Catwoman starts to attack her first. And then Batman comes in, and she's like, oh, you brought your champion. I brought mine. And then before we see
Such
anything,
a cool reveal.
You hear a boom.
we hear a rumble, and Batman, before we see anything, goes, not him, not now. And it's fucking
Superman.
That's
and
where the commercial break would be.
Yeah. It's Soups, and you can see all the vines around him, so he's under Ivy's spell.
But the thing I love about him is that the entire time his eyes are red. His face is is all covered, all Godfather-like, and then you see red eyes, and it's just the scariest thing if you think about like a mad Superman who's going to kill you.
And they keep making the joke when they're trying
He is going
so they
to
run.
kill you.
He tries to use the laser vision, and Batman grabs Catwoman, and they dive into the water. They go to the
He's got the boots with the
LexCorp. They go to the LexCorp.
It's like a reactor or
No,
generator.
it's like what's the word I'm looking for? Sewers, but they're lead lined.
Yeah.
So he can't see through them. And they keep making the joke. He's faster than
Yeah.
How are we supposed to outrun him? And he said, I don't want to outrun him. And all of a sudden, Batman stops running. Very specifically, at this point, stops running.
In this sewer that's lead lined and it has all these like electronic things flying around.
And he's like, I want to be right here. So he says, you need to go
He's like, you need to go. He's like, you need to get one of the two.
And
Which
one of
are-
the two. And she
and
says,
like-
I'll get the girl.
Yeah.
And he goes, you've done your homework. How did you know? And she's like, well, I just know guys like him. And one of my other favorite lines is, hurry, he's the best at what he does. And she's like, well, I don't know about that. And he says, he's the best at what he does, not what I do. And he slips on the kryptonite ring. I loved that line. I was like, yeah.
And so
she kisses him again.
Mm-hmm.
And
so-
he goes, why'd you do that? And she says, because later you might not be able to. And then we hear, boom,
Superman
boom,
comes in.
boom. She's like, that's my cue, and runs
leaves.
away. And then
And this is a really
So
cool
good.
dynamic. You get to see Batman and Catwoman working together. We've seen Batman and Robin. We've seen Batman and other people working together. But now Batman and someone in his rogues gallery working with them. And they make a great team because they can almost finish each other's sentences.
sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
So he's got the ring on. He says something to Clark. He goes, you know where we are, because he's supposed to be underneath Daily Planet.
Daily Planet.
And he said, if you use your laser vision, the gas line will blow and will blow the whole city block. And then he punches the shit out of Superman with a kryptonite ring.
They have a
Such a
great
good
fight going on. Good panels, a splash panel, so it's like covering a 2-page and stuff like that.
And then
I
he
love
has
it when
line.
they do that.
Remember that gas line? I lied about it.
And then he gets Superman to punch it, and then
Because he's all weak from the kryptonite ring, so he punches this high voltage electrical circuit and kind of goes through this hole out into the surface that Superman had made. And that's where Catwoman.
Yeah, well, Batman escapes the tunnel, and then Superman comes flying after him, and then
Another really dope thing, because he's, again, this is one you only see his eyes and the red S.
yes, and so it's
Really
scary.
cool.
And the thing that's always funny is like in film, you always hear critics like, you can't make Superman scary or moody or sad, and I was like,
Yeah, you can.
Want to bet?
read a couple of things, you'll see how scary he could actually be. But they fly out. They're on street level now, and Superman's about to like go at Batman, and Batman's kind of like, all the tricks are out of my sleeves at this point. And then at the top of Daily Planet, you have Catwoman holding Lois Lane, and that's what they meant earlier about get the girl.
Yep.
And Batman knows that Superman in the end of it all, like deep down inside, that he's still him and he's holding back. And so if there's anything that's going to take him out of this mind control thing, it's Lois Lane.
Yep.
So he Catwoman
Lois
drops.
elbows her in the stomach,
Oh, yeah.
actually. Elbows Catwoman in the stomach and falls off this flagpole they're sitting on, and she drops. And of course,
Superman always saves Lois Lane.
yep,
And that's,
he does.
And that was the thing. It's like they work off the tropes specifically, like Fast and the Speeding Bullet. Superman saves Lois Lane.
Yep.
And I think those are cool things that if the comic book is self-aware, it can write itself in itself.
Yeah.
Like that.
well, like it's
intertextuality.
it's like that line that you and I like. The deep down he's a good guy.
He's
Deep
always-
down I'm
he's always
not.
gonna do
That's
the right
playing
thing.
off the tropes of themselves,
Yeah.
but they use it well.
They use it to its advantage. Read it, you will love it. I promise you. At the end of it all, Superman snaps out of it. They're like, cool, we have to find Poison Ivy. We don't know. We can't find her. And they bring in Crypto, the super dog,
Which I loved.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I've never been huge on Crypto. I always thought he was really silly.
Anything that's like a sidekick of Superman other than Kara, kind of dumb. I always felt like.
But this felt not as stupid.
Oh, no.
It felt really cool, actually.
To me, it felt cool because it brought in like, this is more of that universe that we wanted to see.
Yeah.
And without having to do a Superman story, it's like, oh, you get to see a little bit of that. You don't see Mr. Mistlepidalic, but
I
you
do
see,
like there's one little panel afterwards. So she, Crypto finds her, and they take her in, and there's a scene where Superman and Batman are talking, but down in the corner, Crypto's trying to like play with Catwoman, and she's having none of it, and it's that cat and dog trope, which I loved.
It's great. Please feel free to jump in if you guys want to be part of the synopsis briefing. But
Because we're just going for it.
Batman and Superman are talking, but like, hey, we don't know what's going on. There's something weird. There's something weird going on. Different MOs are not matching up, and people are getting manipulated. And then it ends Volume 1, and it goes straight into Volume 2. And Volume 2 starts.
And by the way, throughout this whole thing, all these big events, it always at the end of the event cuts to this guy wrapped up
in a brown trench coat.
who's watching the whole situation. Yes, Josh.
The reason why I had a very good, very confused face while you were when you were talking about Crypto, the version that I read does not have that section in it.
Oh.
What?
Really?
I was like going, what the fuck are they talking about?
That's how they found
I
Ivy.
referred to
Your comiXology.
my comiXology, and I was like,
For the listeners at home,
because I don't remember this at all.
Let me take a look at that. No way.
how does Poison Ivy get caught?
Yeah.
Just a second.
please hold. everyone.
Fascinating.
No, keep going, and I'm
So
like
we'll
right
find it.
there.
We'll find
so.
it. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll put a.
So anyway, we don't know who this
thumbtack.
trench coat guy is who's been.
He's wrapped up like a mummy. He's
wrapped up.
literally wrapped up like a mummy.
Yeah.
And so
But we also forgot about the scene where Batman. Oh, is that in this one where he gets in his car and his tire gets shot out?
Okay, never mind.
It's there.
No, it's there.
Okay.
It's just like it's so tiny, like they barely
very-
even
yeah.
show it.
Yeah. His tire gets blown out, and it's a big deal because they're
It's the same-
Kevlar tires.
That
filled
can't
with-
happen.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with his lines too. Like
Like-
they're really strong taut lines, and no real blade can cut them.
Yeah.
Which, when it reveals itself at the very end, we'll kind of talk about spoilers. I don't care. But the same tire that got shot though is the tire that Jason Todd tried to steal when he was trying to like steal tires
Yeah.
off the Batmobile.
So this is someone who knows. First, we got Crime Alley. Then we got Superman and Metropolis. Then we got the tire that Jason.
Someone
Todd
that
was
knows how
trying
to target Batman and parts of Batman's past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Volume 2 opens up and
The opera.
It's Bruce and Selina. And the cool thing is that Bruce knows Selina's Catwoman, but Selina doesn't know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yet.
They're at the theater, they're watching a thing, and then out of nowhere, one of the players, one of the people performing, turns into Harley, or takes off their outfit, and it's Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn starts causing chaos, shooting it all up, and the gang starts fighting. And so you have Bats and Selina Kyle.
There's also a really cool moment where Harley Quinn gets right in Bruce's face, and she goes, "You look familiar. You spend any time in Crime Alley?" Like she doesn't know, but
Yeah.
she's asked. She's like, "You look familiar," and I just love that little.
it's
little bit.
poking a lot of like, oh my god, do people know? I almost kind of felt like when I read it, it was back to like Batman Forever, where Val Kilmer's like, Harvey, I'm Batman, and Nicole Kidman's just like, what?
Kind of makes me think that Batman, he's a superhero in Gotham City, but he only does it in Crime Alley. It's just one
I think
alley.
that's what it is.
He just.
I think it's exactly what it is.
They're like, but it's over there. No, I must stick to Crime Alley.
At a certain point, Harley Quinn and Catwoman are fighting. Catwoman gets shot.
Catwoman gets
Gets shot. And instead of actually going after Harley, Batman decides to go save.
Yeah, so all of
Catwoman
a
from
sudden, well,
falling.
the cool thing is Bruce disappears, and Selina Kyle has that line, "Men," and then all of a sudden Batman swings in, and you hear a gunshot out in the alleyway. By the way, we forgot to mention at this opera, who's with them? Thomas Elliot.
Thomas Elliot.
Mm-hmm. So they run into the alleyway, and what do they find, Tom?
They find a dead Thomas Elliot who got shot in the head.
In the heart.
heart, head, same thing. Then you see on top.
Not really.
Well, Harley grabs his jade pendant
Yeah.
from Thomas Elliot. So Thomas Elliot, and that's like a secret or sacred like family heirloom.
It was his mom's necklace.
mom's necklace. So he goes chasing after Harley into the alley, and that's
Yeah.
Batman knows to go after them.
Backtrack just a little bit about that jade pendant. We forgot to mention that one of the flashbacks in Volume 1 is that Thomas Elliot's parents
were
were in a car crash.
accident.
And Bruce tells
Tom-
him as a kid, "My dad's a great doctor. You have nothing to worry about." And he can't save the dad, but he saves his mom. And Thomas goes ape shit on Bruce and like beats the shit out of him.
For the reason you think is because he didn't save both.
He
parents.
said, "You told me it'd be okay. You told me everything would be all right." And he like wallops the shit out of Bruce. And I never really learned how they reconnect after that. I think he says it's okay. Like Thomas Wayne says, like, "It's gonna be all right, son. You're just upset. Whatever." So flashback forward. Now Thomas Elliot loses that pendant from his mom, who was the only one who survived the car crash. He's
dead in the alleyway.
Dead in the alley. And who's above him?
is Joker crouching with the
Joker.
smoking gun, laughing.
Little bang.
Yeah. And so Batman now recollects all the things that's ever happened to him. He's like, I'm done. I've
This
had
is
it.
probably my favorite scene of the whole thing because he recounts because Robin said something to him that you're responsible for the Joker.
Yeah.
Was that Jason that
That's
said
Jason.
that? Jason Todd, before he died, said you're responsible for what he's done because you haven't stopped him. So he recounts crippling Barbara, killing
Todd dying.
Yeah, Jason Todd
and
dying,
then-
all that stuff.
Gordon's
The countless of lives that have been murdered every single time Joker's gotten out.
Yeah, and Batman.
Loses it.
Loses his
he's at
shit.
this point.
Loses it.
I'm going to start speeding up because
Yeah.
I know we're coming
Yeah,
up on time. But he tries to start strangling Joker, and Joker's kind of like just laughing. He's like,
One of my favorite scenes too, because
Yeah.
it's Batman losing his shit.
and Joker's laughing because he's kind of like, like this is the big joke. It's all funny, ha ha ha. Wonder what happened. And then he's about to kill him. He's like punching the crap out of Joker, and then all of a sudden a gunshot goes off near his cowl and takes off one of his ears, and he says, "Put your hands up." And you find behind him old Jim Gordon.
Jordan.
Good guy Gordon.
Good guy Gordon.
And he's like, "I don't want you to happen like this. If you do this, you're no better than the rest of them." And that's the kind of silver line that kind of always,
And I'll have to take you in.
yeah, that always helps Batman like not do the deed because he doesn't want to become one of them. He always dances
He has
on
to be
that
better.
line. He has to be better than them. And so he stops. Later on, flash forwarding to seeing that Catwoman,
again,
Hush
too.
guy's at the end on top of the roof. At a certain point, Batman tries to go back to the cave and try figuring all these things out. And he's kind of like, "What's going on? What's happening?" No one's MO's matching up. Killer Croc never goes for money. Poison Ivy never goes for like manipulation. And Joker,
Harley and Joker.
that seems so normal. And then in that moment, what happens is there's all of a sudden a robbery that goes on.
Riddler.
And Riddler's going in and stealing stuff, and that's fine. And he gets him. He's like, "Why isn't the Riddler involved? Why is he not involved?"
Why isn't he affected by any of this? Why is he so normal?
And the Riddler, actually, in this sense, everyone kind of has this like really crazy, awesome, dope look. Riddler looks pretty tame in terms of artistic drawing.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty normal looking. And it's kind of like maybe Riddler's so dumb that he's not really involved, or is he?
And he said his note was lazy.
Yeah.
His riddle was really lazy and didn't really put it. He's like, he hasn't evolved. Everyone else is evolving. He hasn't evolved. Whoever's doing this overlooked Edward.
Yeah.
At a certain point, he starts looking over residues and stuff like that. Starts, dissecting the crime scenes and stuff. He gets to a point where there's going to be some kind of conflict. I'm kind of really
Go ahead. Yeah.
speeding through it.
I realize we are at 40 minutes.
There's gonna be a conflict between the hooded, the bandaged man and Tim Drake gets involved because at a certain point where Tim Drake and Batman start having a discussion about Catwoman, and one night Batman brings Catwoman in
To the Batcave,
which is huge. Opening that circle of trust and reveals to her that he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He tries in a really shitty way. He actually tests Catwoman to see what she does with this information, and then Robin, Tim Drake, and Bruce end up following her and seeing where she's going to go with it.
Yeah.
They follow her to a point where Hush is nearby, or Huntress ends up attacking Catwoman.
But she's crazy too.
She's crazy too.
Like someone got to her.
And now Hush, who's the man in the bandages, is there. And before this scene happens, kind of happening at the same time, Gordon is approached by the man with the trench coat. And we're kind of like, what's happening here? And then, the guy with the trench coat takes his bandages off, and it's revealed to be Two-Face Harvey Dent, who has been completely, facially...
He says Two-Face is dead.
Two-Face is dead.
Because he got facial reconstructive surgery.
And he's all bald, so you're like, oh, okay, cool. This entire time as an audience, you're reading and you're like, oh, like this entire time Two-Face is just, or Harvey Dent's just been watching. But you're kind of like, why has he been in the secret, all in the shadows and all that stuff? And he ends up saying like, we're all being manipulated. We're all part of a game. And Batman is the one that's in trouble.
Yep.
We need to help Batman.
Cut to the bridge.
This bridge where now this same Hush character is there, and he has taken now Robin hostage, and he removes his bandages, and then it's shown it's Jason Todd.
Yeah.
In the red domino, the red Robin outfit. Fucks with Bruce Wayne completely because he's like, you were dead. What's going on? What's happening?
But then one big mistake that Jason, quote unquote, Jason Todd makes is he calls him
Bruce.
Batman.
Oh, Batman.
He calls him Batman.
Because Jason Todd would have called him Bruce. And it turns out that it's Clayface. I'm going to fast forward
And he
a little
melts
more.
away.
Yep.
And so Batman's now trying to figure things out.
Fast forward a little more, there's a second attack by this Hush character. And we find out, this is kind of where he reveals everything. He goes, why do you think I shot your tire out for Jason? Why do you think I stopped you in Crime Alley? Why do you think we're on this bridge tonight of all nights? And that's where Bruce kind of figures out that it's Thomas Elliot. This whole time, his best friend is this character who wants to kill him because what happened was that car crash, he cut the brakes because he wanted his parents' money at a young age. And Bruce's dad prevented that. So he blames Bruce because Bruce got his parents' money his whole life to spend however he wanted.
Yeah.
But he had to wait for his mom to die from cancer. And because he grabs him and he sees the pennant.
Yes.
And that's how he knows it's Thomas Elliot. And so Thomas Elliot is about to kill him, I believe. And then
they're blowing up bridges, they're blowing up stuff and everything.
all of a sudden, 2 shots, boom, boom, right to Thomas Elliot's chest. He falls off a bridge. We turn around, and it's Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent.
What had happened is because of the facial reconstructive surgery, what Thomas Elliot didn't take into account was that the alter ego of Two-Face, the crazy part of him, would disappear, and that Harvey Dent, the White Knight of Gotham, would return. And he turns himself in. He gives Gordon the gun. He's like, I just wanted to save Batman and do my part. That was my role. Do whatever you need to do. Gotham's safe. And then there's this moment where
We think it's all cool.
Yep.
But at the very end, and we're just going straight to the end at this point, so we get
he confronts Riddler because he realizes
that all this has been done at some point, and the only person that didn't have any type of blame was the Riddler. And so, in all essence, that Riddler actually was having had cancer, and through those treatments, Thomas Elliot was taking care of him, and that's where those dots got connected.
and they realize they both hate Batman. And Edward Nygma knows who Bruce Wayne is at this point.
And so at this point, Batman is confronting the Riddler in a cell and saying, like, you know my identity. And then Riddler's like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? You know, it's kind of like you think he has the upper hand, but Batman, who's also a master of criminology and psychology, knows the psychosis that Riddler has to be smarter than everyone else in the room. And the line that he says, like, the riddle that everyone knows the answer to is worthless. So if everyone knows who Batman is,
You have no power.
no one would care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he knows he's not going to tell anyone because he has something no one else has, and that's what Edward Nygma can't let go of.
Yes.
And he goes, besides, if you tell anyone, I'll tell Ra's al Ghul you used a Lazarus pit and he'll kill you.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So it's the last bit is between Catwoman and Batman. So
Because Batman starts like freaking out and not wondering what's going on, how everyone's been manipulated, and he's wondering if they were
If
manipulated.
this whole thing was,
to care about each other and love each other. And Catwoman kind of just calls bullshit and is like, you know what, it is what it is, and if it brought us together, then you have to know what we feel is real.
yeah, because she freaks him out because she tells him to hush, and he's like, "Why'd you say that?" And there's this beautiful panel where you can see Batman cracking. I mean, it's supposed to be metaphorical, but like the actual image of Batman is cracking because he's like, "What are you doing? How much are you involved? Do you know?" Like,
starts hurting her.
and she basically walks away and says, "You got to figure your shit out, brah."
Brah.
And that's where it ends. So we'll give 15 minutes of review. Thank you for sticking through all that. I think it was just an important story for people to know if they haven't.
There's a lot of
yet.
really cool aspects of the story, and there's little nuances. I mean, to read the whole thing, it's almost like 300 pages or something like that, and I think it's worth a read through.
Absolutely.
That was a run through, and even though that was 25 minutes of us.
There are other characters that we didn't mention. There's other little plot points, and it's cool because
Really great writing that we didn't mention also.
yeah, and it's cool because like it is in a mystery where they give you the clues as you go, so you kind of start trying to figure it out as you're reading it.
Yeah, when I went back and read it the second time, I was like, oh shit, it's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there from the beginning.
There's some amazing panels. Just when I was kind of flipping through, one of my favorites is it's kind of a silhouette of Batman, and then there's kind of like Catwoman and kind of I don't want to say a crucifix, but it is kind of like her hands are out and she's hanging out, but she is wrapped in poison ivy.
Yeah.
In ivy. It's but there's so many really cool.
Do you want to go around and
panels.
do,
Do you want to do
favorite parts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Who wants to start it?
We talked a lot, so you guys start.
Yeah.
Please.
I want to talk last, please.
I think my favorite part had to have been just that line you guys were talking about, where like
Deep down,
I'm not, and it's like I just want to like explore this character so much more, and I feel like it's just even that is just scratching the surface. But as like an overall, like I loved any of this sort of dynamic like camera, quote unquote camera work.
The splash panels
The
are
splash
the
panels,
big
like
panel.
just the artwork was so good throughout the entire thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite like comic book visual style for Batman.
I agree with that. It's pretty great.
I love how they brought back the blue and gray.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
made blue and gray look cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're just gonna go around the room and I'll have what he's having. If I were to pick scenes, I would say I really love the Superman Batman fight. I also love the opera scene and then going into basically Batman losing his shit. I also really like the reveal of Harvey Dent later on when he's like Harvey. I mean, Two-Face to me I think is a really interesting character, and I love him, and because I love the fact that he was a bad guy and then he facial reconstruction, then he becomes back to who he really is.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really cool. But the art, like overall, I mean, it's a beautiful book. I mean,
fantastic.
I love at the end of each section, there's always kind of like that one
panel that
Panel.
shows
Yeah.
that shows like what
key
happened.
art.
and
Yeah.
it's
Those
just
those would have been like the single issues.
yeah.
Before it was compiled into
Oh, so
paperback
good.
trade.
The one
There's so
where
many so
Superman
good.
is just choking Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman's just like trying to hold him off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so good. Anyway.
I think a great thing specifically with Two-Face, I think the great thing about him is that we get to see him be a good guy and then become the villain. Like you get to see his
Yeah.
descent into madness in real time. Like whereas Nightwing or all the Robins, their descent is saved by Batman. Like he's the only one. Like in some ways, like Batman's the only one that couldn't save. Like everyone else, you see them already like in their like. You see the Joker, you see Freeze, you see, and they do a little bit of the origin of the backtrack. You don't get to see it in real time where like Freeze and Bruce Wayne were really cool friends, or Oswald Cobblepot and them were like really good friends. They kind of do little snippets of it, like we did with Thomas Elliot. It's like you don't get to see Thomas Elliot become Hush.
Okay, yeah, because Dent started out as a
Dent,
character.
as a DA, he was like the White Knight. He was the one that helped him save. And then when he gets his face, marred, it's like it's a result of Batman not being able to save everyone.
yeah.
And so that's why I think like a lot of people kind of like love the Two-Face character.
Favorite part?
I mean, my favorite part is the deep down I'm not line, and I think it's great. But actually, like my favorite thing about the Hush and anything that Jim Lee's touched really. Especially with Jeph Loeb. And Jeph Loeb, gotta give him credits too. He did a lot of Marvel work, and then seeing that polish of like his years of experience coming to Batman later on, like getting a chance to get those blue texts of every single time you know what Batman is thinking.
Yeah.
It's something that you will never ever get again. It's like now I get to be I get to see what he's doing and see what he's thinking of, like what he's doing and where it comes from.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like you just see how his mind works. And I really like, they don't do the whole origin story thing, but in the beginning of Hush, they show like how he like
Trained
read,
and
he read, he like became a master chemist, and he like bench presses like 1,000 pounds. And it's like, this is dope. Like I would
And
love
it's
to,
all in one beautiful panel too.
yeah. And I would love to have seen that in some kind of film.
Yeah.
Oh, and I love, just as a extra thing, I loved where they're like, let's take the car. They're like, which one? And it zooms out and it's like
All of
all the
yeah,
different
yeah.
Batmobiles.
Yeah.
I was like, I just stared at that for a while, like looking at every single one of those Batmobiles. And I was like, oh my God, this is so great.
I think I have two favorite parts. So I mentioned the one already with the artwork in the alleyway where it's reminiscent of all the different famous other comics, but it's his own style. That really, like, I went back and looked at that the most. Like, I did stare at it for like a half hour the first time I read through it. And I was like, this is so like surreal to see someone else put a twist, but still know exactly what they're talking about. And there's this other line where I think Tim is talking to Selena about Jason Todd. And he was like, it's his biggest failure. Why do you think he has a shrine of him in the
Dedicated to
Batcave?
him,
And there was something about that I really liked because I knew about it. I know about the shrine there and I know what it meant. But the fact that the whole Bat family kind of acknowledges it and is just like we should let him
It's
do
a
that.
sore spot.
Yeah, right. It's
something that
for
they
the
don't,
whole family.
Yeah, it's something that they don't even talked about it with him.
Yeah,
because they
it's
know
not-
it's something like don't strike the line when he's down.
Yeah. So like it's not just something that affects Batman, it affects the whole Bat family. And I thought, now that Selena's kind of a part of it, they let him in on that and now she knows that it's not a thing that he messes around with. Like he takes that failure as his greatest failure.
Yeah.
So that one little line to me really stuck with me like for days after I read it. So I think those are my two favorites.
Yeah, and I think if we have to get into qualms just for a little bit, it's not gonna be a
Someone's
qualm.
gonna die. Someone's gonna die.
But hear me out on this. Like,
Where's your key?
I wanted,
all my keys
I loved Barbara in it
as Oracle.
as Oracle, and I loved all the references to it when it mattered, when it was pointing into the story. With her being the only survivor from the three that were kind of the three cases that were mentioned from Joker's killings, I almost felt like I wanted her to be the one on the comms to stop him from killing. Because I feel like
it means more.
it would have meant more, but then like she wasn't super involved in the story to begin with, so maybe not. But
Well, they also talk
they
about
needed
Gordon's
Gordon
wife too.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
He's technically in the
He's
same
technically
position.
a victim as well.
right?
He's like
So
the biggest victim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his wife and his daughter.
Yeah. And he's powerless to do anything. And
And he
if we're-
still stops
If
Batman.
we're going
Right.
in the timeline of it, right? So like if Barbara is as Oracle now at this point,
Yeah.
then all of the Killing Joke has happened.
Yeah.
So so Jim has gone through that roller coaster of torture of insanity. So like, and the thing is that he still has come out and
True.
again proved Batman's
He's
point of
better.
like, we're like, people cannot be broken. It's
Yeah.
like, we're stronger than what you think we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, Jim, who had all the reason in the world to break,
And he's retired. He comes out of retirement to save Batman.
all the
Or at
reason in the world to
least-
break, and we see Batman break.
Or
And
at least,
Jim not.
here's another idea. Cut to her in the tower, obviously hearing everything that's happening. And then maybe
that'd be
showing
cool.
her, maybe just
And then
show
a
her
single
kind of
tear.
broken. Or like she has to like stay away, get away from the panel or whatever, kind of like she can't handle the situation.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I do like the line that he says in his head where he's like, she'll never know how important she is, or
Because
I forget the exact wording.
I'm a big Barbara fan.
Oh yeah.
So like I just wanted more of her in the story, but
I think my only qualm, and it's not even a qualm, it's more of maybe just my misunderstanding of it.
2 people are gonna die tonight.
I
Everyone.
know, Tom, is, and you confirm this for me. You never, again, I'm one of those people, show me the body.
Oh, at the end with Thomas Elliott?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's not dead.
I know,
open.
but like, I wanted to make sure it was him.
Oh, because you think about it, and that's
You
cool.
want to make sure that it was
You never
Thomas
see
Elliott
his
behind everything.
Face.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't know if it's Clayface again, or if you don't know, it's like, yeah. And
Because then they say also in that line, it goes, check his grave, you'll find nothing.
Well,
but
isn't there a
clay.
storyline later on that they debunk that it was Clayface in the graveyard and it was actually Robin that he was
so
fighting?
yeah, there's a part later on where it shows, where at first it is Jason Todd, and then later on Jason Todd and Clayface switch,
Oh.
and then the last one.
don't
So
remember that.
your qualm, I'm putting it in air quotes.
Well, I'm talking about Thomas
is more
Elliott
of
at
a-
the end.
Yeah. Well, it's not. No, what I'm saying is like it's because there's other storylines that
Yeah.
kind of like
tie-ins and stuff like that.
that tie into Hush in the end, where it's like
That I haven't seen yet. Got it.
he's-
Okay.
Like I've started reading those because I was so interested in the.
Interesting.
I just started
Well,
going.
now
okay,
I got to read
Hush.
those.
Yeah.
And it's like he
Gotcha.
comes up a lot, and it's like Hush returns, and there's a lot of them
dope.
actually.
And
Anyway.
like,
All right.
yeah, and,
So
it's
then
and the thing
I just
that's
got to read more.
The thing that's sad is that all the things that we're reading are completely not part of the
Yep.
continuity.
But they're good
Yeah.
stories.
But they're great stories. And the thing is about it, it's like fucking Star Wars. Just leave that shit alone. Like DC was like, oh, it's not part of it, so you can't use it. It's like we still
just
love
work
it. We
with
could
it.
still have it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the thing is like, that didn't stop Snyder from taking from Dark Knight Returns.
Yep.
Right.
And it won't stop me when I make my goddamn Batman movie to take from Hush. 'Cause
Yep.
it's gonna happen. It'd be the best
It
thing
will.
ever. Ratings. We have to do
I would
the
watch
ratings. This is our first comic book rating.
5 stars.
1 out of 5.
5
It'd be
stars.
5.
I think I'm with Josh. There's nothing I would change about it.
There's nothing because it fueled all of my ooh.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything like I can see things where you're like ooh I'd like to see more of
want
that
more,
but I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
change anything.
I
of the
literally
source.
said out loud, oh shit, 1,000 times. And my wife was like, what? And I was like, nothing, just reading.
Well, I have
oh
this
shit.
I have this problem when that I am sometimes am an insomniac, and so I'll be reading at 2 in the morning and like I can't like react. I have like Bonnie's asleep and I'm reading and I'm like.
Yeah. Just really quietly, just grab Luna and be like, Luna, look at this.
And the thing that I loved, and this kind of circles back to my point in the beginning, was like a lot of those oh shit moments was because like it's from stuff that not information that I got from the comic, but information that I had gotten before
Yeah,
that from other
exactly.
comics and like other continuities, other stories that worked, and I immediately knew what was going on. I was like, oh shit.
It's one of those comics that, and it doesn't come along very often, where if you've never read a Batman comic, you'll love it. If you have read Batman comics before, you'll fucking love it.
yeah.
It's one of those things that the more you know, the richer the experience, but it is a complete story within itself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I like about it. It's complete.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to know all the
Batman will take you through with his
Yeah.
narration.
There you go.
And the
Cool,
thing,
man.
The thing about it, it's only 12 issues. So
Yeah.
like, if there is a
Very
quote-unquote-
tight.
Yeah, it's 12 issues. So I mean, it lasted a whole year, and it was like #1 in like top 300 for a while. I give it a 4-5.
I was gonna say.
I was about to
after
say,
threatening to
wait a
kill us all.
No, I mean, there's one thing. Yeah, I just wish it was longer. But the thing is, they had to condense it down
Yeah.
and give enough room for other
Yeah.
like, works and publications to take place. So
I would love if you guys message us about your favorite Hush moments if you've read it. If not, when you do
Please.
read it, let us know.
Yeah,
you
let
should read it.
us know.
Absolutely read this book. It is fantastic.
so good.
it's just good storytelling. It's insight into the
Beautiful art.
characters, insight into potentials and things that you love.
Josh, where can they message us to let us know their favorite parts?
Well, you can find all of our information to contact us on nerdonthepodcast.com. All of our social medias.
Twitters and Instagrams. It's
Yeah.
all there.
Patreon now.
Yeah,
Patreon.
Patreon.
You can support us doing this thing we love.
If you didn't guess, if you're new to the show and you're listening through, you're going, wow, these guys are really getting their nerd on. It's because we love doing this, and we get to do it more and more because of people like you
Yep.
listening.
Yep.
And then all of our
Spanx.
patrons, thank you.
Scrab.
Yeah.
Subscribe, review.
Scrab.
We appreciate it.
Subscribe, as our friends
Film
at
Forecast.
Film Forecast taught us.
Shout out to them.
But yes, the thank you part of our show is hard for me because I just want to keep thanking, but we got to move on.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.